Let's go ahead and get this studio review underway. First things first, they offered a checkpoint, I guess, for you to use, which I switched to, but I don't think you would have had to have checked out this particular branch if you wanted to continue from what you were working on over the last few studios. That would have been okay as well. But we do need to start adding some annotations to our model. That's the main theme of today's class. So we're going to add some validation annotations to, oh good, they provided the link to the documentation this time, good. Well, kind of. Anyway, to satisfy these criteria. So it's telling us that the user, the name, and the username, the password, and verifier are required. So if I go to the model here, how do I make it so that one of these things is required? I think we saw that during the prep work, right? If you don't remember, which honestly sometimes I don't remember, it's just a thing. You can kind of take a look down the list and see if any of them refresh your memory. I think not blank is the one that we're looking for, right? How did you all interpret the requirement that verify is required? Because I'm looking and I don't see that particular field here, right? At least not at the moment. Is that a problem? Is there something we should do about that? It says verify is required. I mean, the way that I reconcile this in my brain is that since the password has to match verification and the password cannot be blank, that sort of also implies that verify cannot be blank, and so we don't need to do anything about it at this particular moment. I think one of the bonus missions kind of touches upon this a little bit in more detail, which we may have time to get to. I don't think that adding verify to the user model is necessarily the best idea. I think it's redundant at best, because password and verify are supposed to be the same thing. So I think it's kind of redundant in the best case. And in the worst case, it's a security issue, because that could be somebody's password. But let's move on. The username is between 5 and 15 characters. That's the one that I was trying to use earlier today, right? But use it incorrectly. I think it's size. It's the one that's going to be appropriate here. Size. Min equals 5, max equals 15. And then actually for all of these, we should also probably be putting in a message as well. So that there is context for if somebody fails validation. I just need to import this annotation here. All right. Next one on our list. Email is optional. What do I have to do to specify that the email is optional? Nothing. Yeah, that one was kind of a trick. We don't have to do anything. There's an annotation that specifies that it's not optional, but if I want it to be optional, I just don't do anything. The other one, though, if provided the email has a format of an email address, that's definitely something that we can do. There's an email constraint right here, right? There's an email constraint, so I can actually tack that on. And something like that might be a good message for that. And then the password is at least 6 characters long. That sounds like size again to me. And like that. So there we go. There's all of our annotations on these particular fields to satisfy the constraints that they wished for us to do. Did I type max? Oh yeah, min. Yeah. So the difference between size and min, size has to do with the length of the string, since this is a string. Min, I think, has to do with numeric values, if I'm understanding that correctly from what we were looking at before. Yeah, I got those confused as well. All right, so now we're gonna update the controller to allow us to perform validation. In order to perform validation, it needs an object to validate, basically. So we're gonna enter in a new user object and bind it to the form using the new binding technique that we saw in this week's prep work. So in the add method of the user controller, which is right here, I guess, right? We need the model. And then we'll say model.add attribute new user. Oops. So I think that's what it told us to do. Let me make sure. Yes. That's correct. That's correct. So we're passing in an empty user object. And what they want us to do now is update the template to make use of the fields, like we saw the new binding syntax that we saw. So if I look at the add field here, you can see that I've got all these th values set up, which we don't really need anymore. That's what this note, I think, is referring to. We can actually just, and the name's not necessary anymore. Well, no, I'm sorry. The th value should be there. It's the name that doesn't need to be there anymore. We want to do th field equals. Oh, and actually th value, I think, is redundant as well. I'm sorry. It is redundant. Th field is going to be, why am I drawing a blank? User dot username. I don't know why I was having trouble coming up with that. This, I think, is redundant now. We can always put it back later if it turns out that I'm incorrect about that. Th field equals user dot email. So we're just binding everything here. Th field equals user dot password. And we don't have a field to bind to the verify, and that's okay. That's not a problem, right? That's not an issue that we need to be worried about at this particular moment. And then they want us to remove the email type from this particular input. The reason being, so we talked about this during class today, right? This provides some validation on the client side. Basically, it's going to do some email validation. It's not a bad thing to have it here, but we want to test and make sure that our server-side validation is working. We want to make sure those annotations are working. And so in order for us to do that, we actually have to take this off. Otherwise, it would be difficult for us to submit data to test to see how our annotations are working. So that's why they suggested that we take that particular piece of information off. All right, so now we can go ahead and set up the validation within the controller. First thing we need to do is add the valid annotation, and then this parameter here, which I talked about during class. Have to remember that it goes directly after the thing that is being validated. So here the user is what's being validated, right? So when I insert my errors object, it has to go directly after the thing being validated. You'll run into problems if you put it somewhere else. There we go. Import everything. Let's see if I can scooch this over. I don't need this to be so wide here. See more of the code, right? And actually now, if we decide, well, I guess I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. We're going to check to see if we have errors, and we're going to return the user back to the form if we do. So that's going to change things a little bit, right? This model add attribute stuff can actually go away. It's going to become a little bit simpler. And I can actually put in the user object directly here, since if I end up going back to the addition, the add, it's going to be bound to those fields. So that should take care of the binding for us, right? And displaying the error messages. I also need to pass in the errors if I detect that there are in fact errors. So the way that we do that is by adding another attribute here for the error. The error information being passed back. It never actually told you to go back and add the error information to the form, did it? Or maybe I missed it. At any rate, at this point, we should at least be able to test to see if some validation works, right? Whoops. Oh, it's same error as before. Have to go in here and type proper version. That's kind of annoying that I have to do that. What are you doing to me? Did I? That does not help. What am I doing wrong here? I thought that I had this set up okay. Well, this is escaping the colon. I guess I could look at what I did over here. Make sure that I did it properly. Yeah, it looks like I did though. I have had a lot of trouble fixing this error, honestly. Had a lot of trouble fixing this error, and I'm getting quite annoyed with it. I don't know how you all feel about it. Or am I the only one that's been running into it? I don't even know. That's exactly what I had there before, so that doesn't appear to have changed anything. Oh, is it gonna go now? Yeah, okay, now it's gonna go. Maybe I just needed to reload the project. All right, and so now I want to go to localhost user. Yeah, I can go to add. Oh, we've got some fancy CSS. I didn't put this in here. That's okay. So let's test some of this validation to see, right? I just type in A in all four of the boxes. You know, what's going to validate and what's not. The username is too short. The email is not in the proper format. The password's too short, and the verification does match. So at least that should. Oh, and it just let me cruise right on by. How about that? That's not good. Data breach has exposed my password. Just let me cruise right on by. So clearly I screwed something up, right? And I see what I did. Whoops. I see what I did. I never actually told it to send the user back to the form. So let's try that again now that I've fixed that omission. Give this another go. A. Sign up. Oh, it still lets me go in? Come on now. What are you doing to me? What did I forget? It's true that my bad passwords match, but I would have expected this to have happened before it checked the passwords. So I'm a little bit confused about that. Because the username is too short and the password's too short and the email is not a valid email address. So what did I do wrong? Clearly I did something wrong. Well, yes, Abby, I do, but it's not sending me back, right? I would expect it to send me back, and it's not doing that. That's what I'm confused about. I would expect it to send me back here. $23 or $25. I can't imagine how that would affect anything. I mean, this is the line that I suspect is not happening. See, it's not. I set a breakpoint here, told it to go through, and it's not validating my stuff. Did I forget something else? Post mapping add? Is that necessary? That's not where it's sending us, though. The form is sending us to the, here. It's sending us to this page. What am I screwing up here? No, it doesn't need to. We actually add the user here. That's where the new user comes in. Let me check something in my coding events real quick. Oh, that was weird. Let me check something here. That's okay. Okay, now it's working. I guess I just needed to restart it. I'm not sure what happened. That's confusing to me. But anyhow. Anyhow, it's doing what I would expect it to do now. I don't know why it wasn't working before. I didn't change any code, right? I just stopped it and restarted it, and now it's decided to work. So I guess I don't know. Can't explain it. But anyway, as Abby mentioned, we do need to include a place for the error text to show up, which doesn't exist right now. So in our template here, we need to add some more places for that to go. And we could actually, I'm going to go back and steal that from the coding events template. because I'm lazy. So we need one of these for each of these. Right? This will be email, password. Okay. So now that I've added in these places for the error messages to display, we can run it again. And hopefully this time we'll be able to see some error messages get displayed. Oh, come on now. That was my fault. I think, maybe, I don't know. All right, so if I leave it blank and hit the button, I should see, all right. Okay, so the formatting is weird, right? That's my fault, I suppose, that the formatting is so weird. But it does do what I asked it to do. But the formatting is real weird. The formatting is real weird, isn't it? Maybe I should just make those divs instead of p tags. I feel like that may not be that much better now that I'm picturing it in my mind. But I'm already kind of committed, so. Oh, what happened here? What is this big white box? What is this big white box? Whoops. That's not great either. That's not great either. I prefer the p tags. I bet the error class doesn't exist, would be my guess. And if I want to make these things look a little bit better, I could put more p tags out front of each of these. A line break may also do it. All right, cool. I mean, it's got different problems, but it looks a little bit better. The text isn't red, I'm assuming, because the CSS does not contain an error class, and it doesn't. So if we wanted to, we could include it. What is the text color? Is it text? That seems wrong. But I'm going to try it anyway because I'm an adventurous sort. Oh, it's just color. I thought color was background color for some reason, but I am not great with CSS, as I'm sure that I mentioned every single time. I mess with CSS. Oh, it's a class, so it needs to be dot. Yeah. Dot. There we go. A little bit of trial and error, never hurt anyone. And now it's red. The red on pink makes it feel very Valentine's-y. Let's check the email. If I type in some garbage here for the email, it says please enter a properly entered email address. What if I type in a password that doesn't
verify. So there's an issue, right? That you might consider to be an issue, or not. I don't know how you feel about it, but like the verify password message is only going to show up if everything else is okay. Like only if the other things are okay will this show up. So some people might say that that's kind of a problem, right? Why doesn't it validate everything at once? And I think that's kind of what the bonus mission tries to tackle here. You can, in fact, validate that passwords match using annotations by taking a slightly more difficult approach than we've done here. And so the bonus mission kind of lets you tackle that different option. But it is 8:28 p.m., so our time is about up tonight. I'm not going to do that right now, but as I mentioned before, we do have a catch-up day on Wednesday, so I will add this to my list of catch-up day things to talk about next week. So if anybody's got any questions, I'll hang around for a few minutes. Otherwise, have a great night, everyone, and enjoy your day off on Wednesday. I'll see you back here 1 week from today on Monday, and I believe we're going to start talking about databases, which is very exciting. You can see there's only five more chapters left in the textbook, also very exciting. We're getting close to the end. We're in the home stretch. So see you in a week.